Hey guys, this is Susan Velez from SusanVelez.com. And if you've never been on this channel, what I'm doing is I'm actually setting up this channel to teach people, especially newbies, how to get started with WordPress as far as themes, plugins, or even if you just want to learn how to make money, you want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'll be putting up some great tutorials that will help you grow your business online. So this video is actually going to be about how to back up and restore your WordPress website with the Backup Buddy plugin. Now I'm going to actually break this up into probably two or three different video parts because this specific video is just going to be how to install and back up your WordPress site. And there's a lot to cover with this Backup Buddy plugin, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm actually using this demo theme that I've set up, and as you can see, it's set up on a subdomain called walkthrough.susanvelez.com. It's a subdomain on my main website. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be using the Backup Buddy plugin because this is what I use for mine as well as my clients' websites. And just to show you that I do actually own the plugin, I'm in the back office, and you can see it's the latest version 7.2.06, and I would have to download it, but since I've already downloaded it and it's right here on my desktop, we're just going to go ahead and get it installed. So I'm in the back office of the site I'm going to be installing this on, and as you can see, if you don't know how to install a plugin, you can actually install it right here where it says add new, or you can come over here and click add new. So we're going to add the plugin, and since I've already set it up on or saved it on the desktop, I'm actually going to upload it and browse to the file, which is right here. So I'm going to double click on that, click install now, and then once it's installed, then what I'll need to do is I'll go ahead and activate the plugin right here. So activate the plugin, and now you'll see it right here on the left, and you'll notice that there's a bunch of different settings. Now I'm actually not going to run through all the settings. I'm actually just going to show you how I set it up. Now, there are many different ways you can set this up, but I'm going to show you how I do it and what works for me. And if you have some different tips and ideas, then feel free to comment and leave them in the comment section below. But this is how I set mine up. So first thing first, we want to go ahead and go to the settings tab right here. We're going to click on that, and then you're going to notice it's got a bunch of settings. So what we're going to want to do is the first one is the import buddy password. And what that is when you actually import or go to migrate the website back, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to download a file called the Backup Buddy or the import buddy. So you're going to need to password protect this file in order to restore the website. So for the sakes of this video, I'm actually just going to put a password in called open. It's capital O-P-E-N. And of course, you'd want to use something a little more secure than that. So, but this is just for this video. So now right here, custom local storage right here. This basically just tells you this is where Backup Buddy hosts your backups if you save them on your local server. Now, Backup Buddy does give you the option of storing it on the cloud, or you can actually store it to Dropbox. I think you can also get it emailed to you. It's got a few different options, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but I'll show you the one that I use and the reason that I use it. So if you do happen to store it on your local directory, then just know that if you ever need to go in there and find a backup, this is where they're stored. They're actually going to be on inside of your public HTML folder, and then you're going to notice that this is the subdomain, which is walkthrough, and then the WordPress content folder. Then you'll dig a little further and you'll find a folder called uploads, and inside that folder you're going to look for a folder called Backup Buddy backups, and that is where your backups are going to be stored. Now scrolling down, I don't touch any of these. I did not touch any of these other settings. I pretty much just leave them the same. You can feel free to play around with them and set it up the way you want to, but this is how I do it, and this is what works for me. So error notification recipients, you want to make sure that you use an email address that you actually do check, because this is where you're going to be setting up or getting the notifications whether your the plugin actually was successful or if you got an error and it did not work. So you want to make sure you do use an email you check. Now going down to local archive storage limits. This is the one that I usually concern myself with. Right here you'll see age limit of local backups, and what this means is you'll see right here it says 0 for no limit. This means that if you have 0 in this box, it will continue to just upload backups. It doesn't matter whether you have 1 backup, 10 backups, or 20 backups. It will never delete any of the backups. You would have to go in there and manually delete the backups. So what I like to do is I like to add a 5 in there. I put 5, and what that means is it will keep no more than 5 backups. So every time you hit that 5th backup, it will go and delete the oldest backup and then replace that backup with the newest backup. And in case you are hosting them on your local, if you are hosting the backups on your local server, you definitely need to have a limit in here, because if not, then you're going to get an email you might get an email from your hosting account saying that your quota needs to be modified, or they're going to take some action or something. I used to get those when I was on HostGator, so definitely pay attention to that if you are hosting them on your local server. As for this information, I really just leave it alone. Down here, database defaults, I don't touch any of that either, and the reason is because you have the option right here you can see it says include or exclude. Let's just say you wanted to not, right here, first of all, these are your WordPress database tables. So let's just say that for some reason you decide you don't want to back up the options database. So what would you do? You would go ahead over here and just add to exclusions. That means that this is not going to get backed up. So I don't know why you would do that, because by default I would go ahead and make a backup of all the WordPress database tables, because in case anything ever happens, then you could just go ahead and back up the entire thing. Now, file and directory defaults. Now what this means is you'll notice that these are actually the default WordPress files. Let's just say that you had another folder in here called files. If you didn't want to include that specific folder that you created into your backups, you would just click on it and click on this little red button, and it would put it over here, and it said excluded files relative to WordPress root. And it just means that whatever's over here would not get backed up. And once you're happy with your changes or your settings, you go ahead and click save the general settings. Now, once that's done, then you would come over here and you would go ahead and start the backup. Now, if you notice, I actually just created a backup, but let me go ahead and delete this. So I'm going to go ahead and check that, and I'm going to go ahead and delete it. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to delete this? Yes, I want to remove it. Now, before I create a backup, what I like to do is I like to come over here to schedules, and I like to go ahead and create a schedule so that I put this on automatic schedule backup. So I don't have to worry about backing it up every time I make a change, or if anything happens, I have a backup. So what you'll do is right here where it says schedule name, you would actually just add a name for yourself. Like let's just say automatic weekly backups. And this just tells me that this is the automatic backups that I'm backing up per week. Now, backup profile, what this does is it asks you have the option of getting a complete full backup. That means you're backing up everything. Your WordPress content folder, your plugins, everything on your site, you're backing it up, including the database. Now, on the database only backup, that just means that you're only backing up your database. That's not included with the WordPress folder files and stuff like that. So you want to make sure whenever that you decide to use, you know which one you're backing up. Now, backup interval, this is where you decide how much or how often you want to back it up. Like you see, you have here once monthly, twice monthly, once weekly. It all just depends on how often you add new content or make any changes to your WordPress site. Then I would go ahead and pick one accordingly that makes you feel comfortable on the type of backups that you have. Now, one of the cool things, like I mentioned, you can actually keep these backups on your local server. But what I've come to realize is that as you have more sites or you make backups, eventually your quota will run out. Of course, it depends on the hosting account that you have. But when I was with HostGator, I sometimes got an email saying that my quota was almost at full, that I needed to do something about it. So I'd have to go in there and manually delete the backups or increase my quota limits. So what I started doing was I started actually storing them to my Amazon S3 cloud. So you can actually connect it to and store it to, I think, Backup Buddy Stash. I believe they give you some free limit or some free space. I'm not exactly sure how much they give you because I've never used that option. You can also hook it up and connect it to your Dropbox, as well as Google Drive and then Rackspace, and of course you can get it emailed. I haven't used any of these. The only one I've used is the Amazon S3, and it's very easy to connect to. All you would do is give this a destination name, and this is actually for your convenience only. So what you would do is you would go ahead and just type in something like, let's just say, my website backups. So that way you know which website this is, or you could go ahead and just name it the name of the website that you're actually backing up, so you know what website this backup belongs to. Now, when you sign up for Amazon S3, which is right here, you would go to Amazon S3 right here, or aws.com or .amazon.com/S3. You can actually find it online if you just type in, let's just say, Amazon S3. So you would type that in and it comes up right here. You go over here and you create an account, and then what you want to do is they'll provide you with a access key and a secret key. Now, I'm not going to go through the tutorials on doing that, because if you need some help, Backup Buddy actually has some great tutorials on how to go ahead and do that. So I would definitely take the time to read that if you're not familiar with Amazon S3. And the reason that I keep them on Amazon S3 is because I no longer get any emails from my hosting account saying that my quota limit is exceeded or anything like that. And I don't have to worry about them being on the same server as my site. If anything happened to my site, then my backup is in a remote destination and I'll always have that backup. So again, it's your choice. Once you do create your Amazon S3 account, I highly recommend you create a bucket name. And a bucket is basically where all these particular files will be located. Like, it's kind of like your computer. If you go into Documents and you create a folder, let's just say a folder for WordPress. So anything related to a WordPress, or let's just say your website, let's just say my site. So anything related to my actual website that's called my site goes into that bucket or into that folder. That's exactly how a bucket is. If you create a bucket called, let's just say walkthrough, since the name of my website is called Walkthrough. So any backup that I create will go into this bucket right here called Walkthrough. So that makes it easier for me to be able to find my backups when I need it. Then I'll just go to that actual bucket, and everything in that bucket is my backups, so I'll know. I don't really mess with this right here. Don't mess with this either. And then right here, it'll ask you how many backups you want to keep and stuff like this. I usually just pretty much just leave it as is. Once you get your Amazon S3 information test set up, then you'll want to test that settings and make sure that it's correct. If it is, you click this add destination, and then it'll add the destination. And then you can go ahead and rest assured that every time you create a backup, or not every time you create a backup, but whenever your schedule runs, your files are getting taken or stored in the place that you set up. So I'm not going to do that for this website because it's just a demo site. But I am going to create a one-time backup and show you how that's done. So once you've created the schedule, let's just say you want to go ahead and create a backup right now. So what you do is you come over here where it says backup, and we're going to go ahead and back this up. We're going to do a complete backup. So we're going to come over here and we're going to click backup, and you'll notice that it automatically starts backing up everything, and it's backing up the entire website along with the database. Now you have the option of canceling the backup while it's running, or letting it go through, and it'll tell you once it's successful. All these will turn green. Now you'll see it says backup complete, and it'll tell you the file size of the backup. You have the option of sending it to an existing destination, or you can go ahead and add a new destination. So I'm just going to, for the video purposes, I'm just going to download this backup. So I'm going to save the file, and then in the next video what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to restore this backup. But there is one more file that we need to get before we actually upload or am able to restore this file or this site. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to go restore migrate, and then right here you'll see that there's a file right here. It says download import buddy.php. This is the actual file that you need to download so that you can import it to either clone the site or restore the site. So we're going to download this, and you don't have to worry about this right now because we actually set, remember that password we set in the general settings called open? This is the password that you're going to actually enter when you go to open or restore the site. So I'm going to hit OK. Okay. Now, so I've just actually found those files, and what I did was actually put the backup and the import buddy on my desktop. So that is how you go ahead and set or create a backup. As I mentioned, you have several different files, not files, but different locations that you can go ahead and restore. Now, just because I created this video and showed you how to do it, I don't want you to feel like you have to use the Backup Buddy plugin, because there are so many different options that you have online to use for free backups. I believe there's WordPress. There's also Duplicator. If you visit my website, susanvelez.com, I give you a link to, I think it's like 6 or 7 different websites that claim to be free. Now, I haven't done any of the free ones. The only free one that I have used is WordPress, and from my experience, I can say that it does the job and it has worked for me. So anyway, stay tuned and come visit me back in the next video, because I'm actually going to walk you through the process of how to restore the website.